those two BMPs are fighting each other?
No.
They're Ukrainians just hammering on it.
Was that the one where he's going back and forth, playing ducky dodge behind a building?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Did you hear that Russian warship that was at Snake Island got blown up because
that was a while ago. Right? Got hit by a missile.
Yeah. Ukrainian farmers, I think, now are the fifth largest mechanized army in Europe.
Yeah, they've been fucking collecting them. So in between fucking farming and ploughing the fields with these vehicles, right? Because they've been using, they're not scrapping them. They're ideal fucking farming.
Sell that shit on Facebook Market.
One
of them's on eBay, 400,000. Somebody listed a T-72 on eBay. Always a joke, but fucking brilliant.
True.
You can legally buy tanks in America, you know.
Oh, look.
Well, it is my Second Amendment right. I mean, if I'm hunting pheasant, I want to use Abrams. That's my right.
Well,
You should be able to use any weapon you want to hunt anything you want, but I mean, if you're just gonna have a weapon to have a weapon, like.
Here's the thing: if I was in America and I could own a Sherman tank like one in Fury, you know what I mean, and have that tank. You know, I'd just do that because weaponry in Australia is not cheap. I could most probably at the time when I used to shoot, if I'd sold all my weaponry, I most probably would have had at least 40 to 50 grand. I know that you could, at one stage there, you could pick up Shermans for that price. I don't know about now.
I lived in Vegas, and not the big airport, McCarran. There's a small one up in north end of Vegas. There's a dude. He parked he was a private civilian. He had to make 25, and he parked it there all the time.
Oh, you gotta love that.
And it's not like it was armed up or anything, but yeah, it was his private toy.
Yeah, we got over here those scout cars. You know, ferrets. There's a lot of those things allowed to run around, but that's about it. Really, there's some dudes with some centurions and all that sort of shit. So don't forget, guys, gifting is going to be a thing.
Oh, so you're saying you want to get the real Osmongold experience?
We're going to bribe everybody that join War Pigs. Anybody that joins that's got headsets is going to get station cash.
Maybe not use the word bribe.
All right, coerce.
Station cash was taken out of the game a long time ago.
My bad, sorry, dude. A bribe is just financially convincing.
And you don't want too many people just joining just to get free money.
Yeah, here's the thing though. They've got a you still got a platoon lead. You still got to do the you still got a platoon lead. Here's the thing. Platoon leading trains you. Seriously, you'll learn more about the game and everything about it by platoon leading. It's easier.
100% agree.
Yeah,
agree.
I've got more chance of getting a good crew for outfit wars if everybody's done platoon leading.
Everyone should be their own master. Everyone should be able to contribute the most they can. Everyone should be able to contribute the most they can by themselves and know what needs to happen to succeed. And platoon leading gets you ready for that 100%.
I reckon, yeah. I find it a lot easier. And because I've simpled it down and we hit VS, right, a lot, it makes it easier. I try not to make it... It becomes daunting when you tell someone you've got to win that alert. The moment you tell them you've got to win the fucking alert, right, everybody starts getting fucking, oh, fuck me, you know? And in some ways, I'm glad they cut the benefits. Like, you only get half of what you used to get for alerts. And it's not so important. I'm recording this, guys. Oh, yes. I know where we're going next. Hey, platoon lead.
You're recording this?
Yep, definitely. Like I said,
Okay, Tyler, can I ask you a question since you're recording this? What's the secret of life?
living it and understanding it. Understanding living. Okay, that's the meaning of life. Nothing more, nothing less. It's all well and good in living, but understand why you live.
What
Yeah,
killed us?
Good. That's pretty good.
Take
Many,
mine.
many
I
bullets.
see some more smart alecky, but that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I kind of agree. I mean, yeah, to just live. That is what life is.
Yeah.
I
Don't.
think the soul. I think the
Piece of
soul
life.
uses your life as the egg it hatches from.
Secret to life is show some cleavage on Twitch. And
True.
get some
Whoa. Back. Back. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out.
I don't know why the fuck that annoys me, but it does.
It's because
Thank you, Cowboy.
you're jealous. You don't have such voluptuous.
Here's the thing about living. I'm a 61-year-old man playing this game, but it's more than the game. I'm communicating with all ears, right? So I'm speaking to people. This is most probably the reason why I stay in this game. And that's living, and it's enjoying it. You know, and a conversation and that sort of stuff. I hope, like, you all know my stance on racism. I'm not a really anti-racist. I hate people that are racist, okay? And I try and put that, if anything, apart from learning to say dog cunt, right, you all know that only simple-minded people are racist, okay? And the terrible thing about that is they bring that into their families. You know what I mean? And they're 10-year-old kids and all that. And it's a handicap. It really is. It fucks with your head because you think that you're better than anybody else because of your colour. And then you find out one day that you're a dumb cunt. And that's not true. And then you've been sold
That's the dumbest shit I ever heard.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But you get my drift?
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Oh, yeah.
It affects a whole family. You could affect a generation, your family, and set it backwards. You know, it's one of the craziest things. I mean, billionaires are billionaires, but you have a look at them, who they got working for them and all that. They have the best, whether they're black, right, or they're Latino, or they're Chinese, or whatever. They don't give a fuck about what color you are, right? Money isn't racist, okay? Money's about making more. And people need to realize that. And also, it's another thing. It's another simple thing that stops you from living. If you're worried walking down the street or wherever you're going into a shop, you won't go somewhere because there's a black person there or something else. You're missing out because of your view that's fucking stupid, right?
I mean, I had a place where I was working, right? And it was predominantly white people. But, you know, like, once in a while, like, I like to speak Spanish, you know, yell at people in Spanish because I fucking
I
can.
envy you. I envy you the fact that you know another language.
I know enough to get by, not, like, fully, fluently speak it. But, more of the point is that, you know, I was sitting there talking with my buddies and I was yelling at them in Spanish and shit, you know, because, you know, they were dicking around being dickheads. And one of my coworkers comes to me like, yo, dude, did you know this person just left because they're like, oh, man, there's Mexicans working in the back just because they heard they screamed in Spanish? I was like, well, that's their loss. They're racist fucking cucks and they deserve to die. Congratulations. I don't care.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I wouldn't say they deserve to die. That's a little
Well, yeah, it's a little
That
harsh.
cleans out the genes.
Yeah, it is. Look, here's the thing. That is the truth. No one deserves to die, even though we might wish that, right? No one deserves to die. But the truth of the matter is they're so simple-minded of that, right? But that's another thing too that I've had to learn all my life. You know, I was brought up by my grandparents, right? And they were as racist as fuck. So I had to go out in the world. But the funny thing about it is I was never racist, even though I was brought up by my grandparents. Now, I can remember a situation on a bus as a teenager. I would have been 14. I was working at 14, right? And there was this Indigenous dude. Here's how fucked up the white Australia policy was. Indigenous people never got mentioned, okay? The dude next to me, I started chatting to him and I can't remember his name. And he started talking about he's a half caste and rah, rah, rah. And I'm looking at him and I said, where are you from? And he fucking looked at me and he went, I'm fucking Aboriginal. And I said, really, that's how you never saw them on TV, right? You saw them now, yeah. You never saw them on TV. They were kept. They weren't allowed to be filmed. If there was any drama at all, they picked the ugliest Indigenous person they could possibly find on the planet to put them up there that was drunk, and they said this man represents these people, right? That's how it really was. I met this dude, right, and he was like I think his dad was white. I'm not sure but he was considered. They used to call him then, right? And this is racist as fuck. Like they used to call him creamies, right? That was what you called a half caste back then, and that sort of stuff. And that's how it was. But anyway, I started chatting with him. I loved him. He was a great dude, you know. And that he told me that the white one, you know, he's not white, he's not black. So he said, if there's a war, what side? And I looked at him and honestly said to him, I'd be on your side, man. You know, there's no drama. And that sort of, he was taken back by that. But I realised then that I wasn't a racist later on. You know what I mean? It's because but that's the way it was for me growing up. And that from a teenager onwards it was never spoken. That's why you don't see Australian movies about the Indigenous people attacking the villages. You know what I mean? There's none of that. It wasn't that way at all over here. It was the fucking.
I agree.
It was the opposite.
In a lot of ways with Australian culture, compared to like at least the way that like we've handled our reparations in America, there's a lot more white guilt over it.
Australia. Here's the thing about here's the Australian culture, right? About Indigenous people. There isn't any. Okay, it's as simple as that. Even today, there isn't. You know, there's certain things have been done, yes, but there's really, nothing's really been done over here. Okay, the Indigenous people got the right to vote in 1967, right? They didn't.
That's shitty.
Yeah, they didn't. They still took their children from them right up into the 80s.
They did that in Canada too.
Yeah, it didn't.
It was up in the stop.
I'm part of that. I'm part of this. It's called a 60 scoop. I'm part of that. I just got a settlement for that. You know what? Trust me, I went through it all. I still go through it all. I'm a treaty status native in Canada, and I go through it every day, all the time. All the time. You just get used to it. There's nothing you can't.
Yeah. I don't know about. You'll have to tell me about this, Chucky. I mean, I've been told by my family we are part Indigenous, right? But I've never had to face any persecution, so I've never put my hand up as an Indigenous person, right?
Well, it's a visual perception.
That's how I see it. That's how I see it, actually, and also because I'm so far apart. Because it was on my mother's side, right? And the weird thing is, I was never told the truth, and the whole thing is such back in time. Yeah, it's weird.
It's like somebody here in North America who's like 132nd native. They don't even. Yeah,
I mean, Elizabeth Warren.
I got a red beard, blonde hair, and grayish blue eyes. Would never be able to tell.
Well, guys, I have my blood tested at Ancestry.com, and I'm actually 13% victim.
Victim, good on you.
No, your whole character ruined.
I'm black from the waist down.
13%, you say?
Good job, guys. Well
all right.
done. Well done.
That was very good.
Okay, I'm out. I got work tomorrow. I'm out.
Esamir, guys. Esamir. I'm still recording, by the way. All this is going.
I was going to ask you, do not waste time here. You will be stuck in queue.
Yeah.
A can of Pepsi has more Native American ancestry in it than Elizabeth Warren does, but she claims she was,
What? That is the first time I ever heard.
That's different.
There was a bet, basically, a bet, quote unquote, by Trump where he bet her $1 million that she had no Native American ancestry, and she just took a DNA test. I'm like, yeah, I have a person with my $1 million. He's like, oh, I'm serious about that.
She was like 1/1000th Native American, dude.
That's not the point, though. The point was there was a percentage, in which case she won that $1 million.
Like I said, basically anyone that has lived here for any amount of time and has two family genealogies they will have that much at least.
Over a
It's
period of time.
basically-
I mean, if your family's been like America's fucking old, and so is Canada. When did Canada? Like we're talking about the 16th century, aren't we? When Canada and all that got
I'm
colonized.
sorry.
US as an actual country, technically only since like the 50s, and also really technically since the 80s.
You guys are actually playing with a real treaty status native. With treaty, I have a treaty card that says I'm treaty and everything. So.
Like,
See,
I'm
what-
sorry, dude, but
Playing with
like,
the
if
natives.
you are 1/1000th Native American and you go around saying you're Native American, you're a fucking fraud. I'm sorry.
Harris.
Well, there hasn't been enough people to be 1/1000th Native American, but I get what you mean.
No, there has.
No, there hasn't. I mean,
You're
do the
fine.
maths.
Has.
Listen, Pale, listen.
What?
On my reserve of
People
none,
are
there's still
never
people that are 100% full-blooded.
What people never
My
discuss
great-grandmother was
is the
Native
problem
American,
in the
but
school.
My family didn't talk about it much, but they referred to her as Big Mama.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. The
Iroquois.
indigenous slaughters and all that was done in Australia was never taught, and to this day not taught. And it's only now in 2022 that there is actually indigenous people on TV allowed, and and we're talking about our government-run TV station. As far as I know, there's 2 indigenous people I know that actually commentate on TV in this country. They're just not given the chance, even today.
I'll be back.
Yeah, but like 2% of Australia is indigenous, so like you'd expect for every 100 people you'd see 2.
Yeah, well, there's only 2 people on TV, and I don't know if there's any women at all. I don't think there's any women representation.
It's pretty sad when you really think about it.
I know. It's as much as
That's probably a
Australians
big
will
fact.
say, an Australian will say, oh, we've done the right thing and whatever. Yeah, not really. We've hidden it. We keep hiding it
We
because
do the same thing
here's the thing.
Yeah.
The last thing the government wants is the rest of the world to find out just how fucking bad we were. You know what I mean? Like we made what the Americans and everybody else, and even some of those like the Rwandan bloody slaughters and all that, the genocides and all that. We made all that put together look like a Boy Scout outing, and it
Like
wasn't.
the raping
And
and
here's the
everything?
thing: it wasn't that we killed Indigenous people, right? It was how we did it, and the documentation on how it was done is available if you want it. But it ain't good. It ain't good.
Was there a lot of sacrifice in it, like blood sacrifice shit?
Nah. They used to build fire pits. That was one of the. They'd get the convicts. Convicts did all the Indigenous killings. Okay, it was never the military or anything like that. Because you can hang a convict. So if someone gets in the shit, oh yeah, well these convicts they got carried away. Oh, we better hang them then. That was justice. That was how they got around it. They hung convicts for the murder of Indigenous people. Right, so the landowner would send his convicts. And if they didn't do what they told, they would fucking die. They'd be hung for not doing what they're told. So they went off. But anyway, this is how they did it. They built, they'd find gullies, things like gulleyways, anywhere where there was low land areas that, like pits and whatever that were natural. And at worst case scenario, they'd dig their own pits, build fires, and they'd throw people on the fires alive and stone them. Women, children. They normally rounded up the women and children first and killed them, and then they hunted the men down. But that's how they all died. They'd be dragged, and if they weren't clubbed to death, they didn't even stab them. The convicts weren't even given knives. But that's some of the thing, and there was worst case scenarios. They used to take them out on boats. There's just fucking hundreds of different stories of how they did it. Like I said, there was never. There's not the right. I know American Indigenous people got it hard too. Definitely got it hard, but they, for some reason, they managed to fight, hang in there, and become legends. You know what I mean? And the same with the Canadian Indians and that.
type of American Indigenous you are. Because like America went to war with other Indigenous, and they used like Indigenous people were always at war with Indigenous, and the ones that were part of the winning side of the war did great, and the other ones got like obliterated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they would
like,
scalp each other and eat each other.
And
They were
the ones
savages.
that started doing great got obliterated too, but that's the problem with it all.
Some of them did well, and then some of them were like, they all got like land
Well,
plots.
now it's all alcoholism, man. Now it's all alcoholism. They got
some
fucked by
tribes were
alcoholism.
entirely wiped out. Some
You
still survive
guys
to this
are-
day.
You guys are fucking wrong on that, man.
these days.
Yeah. Look.
You guys are talking to a native here, and a lot of that's bullshit. I'm telling you right now, a lot of that's bullshit. The majority of the people you see in a reserve, they live in a reserve. The people you see outside the begging downtown, that's only a small percentage of my people. You're talking to a native here that never drank in my life, didn't do drugs, never smoked. I had been same job 23 years. So to say something like that is just a slap in my face.
Yeah,
a lot of my people ain't like that.
They did the study in Australia, right? Per capita, Indigenous people drink less alcohol than Europeans. It's a fact.
True, and with my people, it's the same thing. A lot of our people are just tucked away on the fucking reserve. Then
What are you, Chuck?
Okay, I apologize, but at the same time...
No, listen. There's a reason why Indigenous people don't drink. Okay? There's a reason why they don't drink. They never have, right? It's just the typical media bullshit that you see, right? There's a reason. Because they know it wasn't fucking safe to be drunk when you could be massacred by Europeans. That's why they didn't drink.
I get a lot of flack just being a streamer because they say, why do you want to bring our culture into the open? Why do you put war paint on your face and make paintings? So why are you bringing our culture into the open? We don't want our culture in the open. You know what I mean? It's a big problem where our people, a lot of the stuff you see, it's just what you see outside a liquor store or a downtown city. 90% of our people are on the reserve and you'll never see them. So a lot of people get their facts wrong.
Yeah, and look...
I didn't hear what you said, Chuck. What tribe are you? Sorry?
I'm from Denitaw First Nations, up north, Canada.
Yeah, I'm Northern Ontario, so I know a couple of the tribe.
The thing is, a lot of people see a bunch of drunken Indians outside a fucking liquor store, and those are the ones probably have problems. Because there's a lot. The reason why you see a lot of natives outside liquor stores in cities is because they actually get excommunicated off the fucking reserve, kicked off the reserve. They probably did something wrong, or some just literally because there's no alcohol there, right? 90% of the people, we just live quiet lives on a reserve.
Yeah, there's reserves in Australia. Chucky, there's reserves. Sorry, man. There's reserves in Australia. We had a Prime Minister carry on about why these Indigenous, but he had the gall to say that these people, Indigenous people, chose to live on these reserves, right? They've been there over 100 years. They were forced to go there. They weren't allowed to leave. They're not allowed to leave today, right? Unless they have special permits. You know what I mean? It's crazy. They can't leave that area. They do get welfare, right? But for them to actually leave, they've got to fucking go through the Centrelink. They've actually got to get permission to this day.
And Tiger, with the welfare, so what happens, there is a lot of welfare, but a lot of people are tucked away, like I said. They're on
no work. They're out in whoop whoop.
There is work. So they give you like so the band basically gets money, right? And the band gets money.
Sorry,
the band gets money, and then it gets distributed amongst the members to live a half-decent life out there. There's a lot of people that hunt, fish. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of it's idleness, right? So you see a lot of that. You see a lot of frustration with that.
Yeah. It's a different. It's a very different situation here, Chucky, to what you've got. What happened was people got moved from good fishing and hunting areas to places where there was nothing, if you know what I mean. So they might have been, let's just say they were a Trikuri tribe on the River Murray in South Australia, right? It was quite possible that they were sent to northern, like Alice Springs, where it's just desert, right? And hunting is minimal. You know what I mean? And that's what basically happened. Yeah, but same thing here. Same thing here. And that and look, here's the thing. This shit's still going on. Like it's 2022. It's it's the same thing, just different day. And no one to this day in Australia are really looking or give a fuck about it. You know, people get up. You get politicians that get up and they say they're sorry that this happened. They're sorry but they're not doing anything about what's actually happening now. And what's actually happening now is Indigenous people are stuck on reservations. They can't leave. They're given nothing. Yeah, and here's the thing: they have families and that, and they do things, but they've got no, like, they learned that was the biggest problem in the beginning, right? The missionaries taught them to read and write, and then they weren't allowed to work. You know, that's a lot of the problems. But today,
going back to what Chuck said, like he was talking about the stereotype of alcoholism, it's confirmation bias. Like, think about it. If you go by a liquor store and you see like a deadbeat, like, homeless white guy out there, do you think to yourself, "Oh, look, there's white trash getting drunk"?
No, you don't.
No.
You see that all the time, but nobody sees that as a bad.
Yeah.
It's only natives in like Aboriginals that get that stereotype, you know.
You've been conditioned like that.
Like me, I made the decision not to live in the reserve. I live off reserve. I have a full-time job for 23 years, same job. I work for a sign company, and that's my own choice. Like I can sit there and collect money and live on the reserve like any of them, but I decided not to do that because I want a better life. I want to travel. I want to, and you can't really do that there. You don't get it unless you have your own income on there.
You know, I see things and I always get the feeling that an Indigenous person, if he makes it, he's got to ask permission of a white person first.
You know what? You're not too far from the truth, but.
You know, that's the feeling I see. It's what I see. Like, I've never. It's unless you're an Indigenous person that knows white people that are in touch with other white people, right? You're not gonna fucking make it. You're gonna struggle.
See where I live, you're seen as a second-class citizen first before they even judge you, unless you're dressed in a certain way, or you know what I mean. If you're wearing a suit.
Yeah.
And then the joke is, if you're wearing a suit, they go, "Oh, so when's your court date?" So every time in the past I've wore a suit, there's always been a joke.
Weird. I've never experienced anything like that where I live. That's crazy.
I was working. This is in 2010, I think it was, around 2010, 29, right? I was doing road work, stuff like that. And I ran into a Māori, right? Kiwi, and that. And we got chatting, and he actually fucking took a liking to me. So he's just said, "What is going on over here?" And the first thing I said to him was, "Oh, the attitude." And he said, "Yeah, the attitude. What's fucking going?" And I said, "I don't know. I really don't know." I said, it just went fucking backwards. As a group of people, Australians turned into absolute dog cunts. We have been for a while. Something just fucking happened. The happy-go-lucky larrikin is gone.
What part of Australia are you from?
At the moment, I was born in South Australia.
There's an art show there one day here, so I'm going to make sure I have it near your city or whatever.
Oh, well, Brisbane. I'm in Brisbane now. Like Brisbane, between Brisbane and the Gold Coast.
I'll make sure to contact you when I do the art show.
Yeah. But yeah, and here's the thing. I don't know over here, in America, if you had this, right? But have you had young blokes king-hitting people from behind? Have you had that? In the States, in the pubs?
King-hitting people?
People coming up behind you and smashing your head in.
Oh, shit. Yeah. In New York.
Jump out.
White people do that to Asians.
Yeah, it's called the knockout game.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I heard of that.
Yeah, well, we call it king hitting. right? One punch, from behind. They come up behind you and can hit. I mean, that wasn't even a thing in my day. You'd never do that, right? But it is a thing here. And it's all about getting the upper hand. Even though that person may not be expecting it, you're liable to get fucking hit in the back of the head.
In New York City, something like that.
I've watched this country change and go down the shit chute with personalities and stuff like that. I mean, Australian people are not fucking nice people. Don't ever think that. Right? Don't ever get sucked in by that.
Once in my life.
Bravo Point.
My construction boss was Australian, and I fucking hated him. You what?
What'd you say, cunt?
I hated his ass.
What do you had an Australian boss?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm serious. I had, fucking. I've been blacklisted twice. All right. I'm actually, what they do, they take your safety card and they don't put your name down, they put your number down, and every other company can check you out. And if your number's up there, it means you're a troublemaker. And that I would not tolerate anybody disrespecting me. And I've lost jobs over it. And Australians have got a bad habit of that. But anyway, I've been recording this whole conversation. It's gone on forever. I'm going to put it up. We'll call it, I don't know, Pigs Going the Deep End.
Just call it the Pigs Podcast.
The Pigs Podcast.
Indigenous Relations.
Indigenous Relations. All right. Is anybody...
Well, here's the thing that no one ever talks about is racism and the history of racism being taught in school to young children. Because that really makes the young kids that are black over here feel like they're victims and they grow up with a chip on their shoulder. Like, I was maybe 8 years old in whatever grade I was, like a little kid. And I was in the library. And I was listening to this rapper named Richie T. And I was discussing Richie T with my classmates across the table. And this black girl from across the library thought I said brush your teeth. So somehow in her head that correlated with her being black and not brushing your teeth. So she stood up on her table and she started talking about how I'm black and I'm proud. And I remember being a little kid just looking at this, and and at that time I was thinking, oh my God, the brainwashing. What's a little kid even knowing about that shit? It should not be taught in school. There shouldn't be Black History Month. It shouldn't even be a discussion. It needs to end. And it starts at the school. It's the government that's making people racist.
Well, here's the thing, right? I believe that Indigenous studies should be taught. I'm pro-Indigenous studies should be taught. Never taught when I was a kid. Doubt it's still taught today. You know what I mean? And here's the thing about the country. Australia's majority desert. And yet, there was something like in the center of the desert, there was something like 16 to 17 different tribes that lived in the desert. They don't live there now. They're gone. You know what I mean? But like they did. And no one knows how they survived. No one knows nothing. And that information and all that, right, is just interesting as fuck to me, how they did it.
You know what I really like about your country and the Indigenous, how they survived on like literally nothing out there.
I tell you, if they hadn't known how, they all would have been dead. Every one of them.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's what saved them. That's what saved a lot of them, is the fact that Europeans couldn't follow them.
You guys want to try to take the tech plant before NC?
So yeah, I don't know. Look,
we'll see. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Sorry, I keep on forgetting I'm Platoon lead.
Bill, you got VR?
Who? VR?
VR headset like
No, not yet.
Oh man,
I should.
You're missing out, man.
I know.
The fuck out. Oh my God.
Play this game in VR?
Are you watching this game? Are you playing? You in VR now?
No, I can be, but I prefer it being on the computer.
Yeah, I prefer this game on the computer. But
sure,
VR will eventually. It's like anything. When this computer started coming out, right, back in the 90s, where it started, I looked at it. There was nothing in computers that made me want to play a computer. It's the same with VR at the moment, you know, but it's only a couple of years away, and we're all going to have VR.
Oh, I need to hook you up, dude. There's
push
one game.
Guys, do not push anything else. Push Tech Plan.
Yeah, there's one game in VR. It's called fuck it. It's called After the Fall. It's like zombies, but you got like a team of 4. It's like Left 4 Dead, but in VR. Anyway, dude, I put 200 hours in that in the last 2 months. Like I'm obsessed with that shit. That's go in there, I get so you can go in people in there and you can poke someone in the face, and because it's VR, it's really personal to them, and so they lose their fucking minds when you start poking them in the face. Then you can get in their face and insult them. I mean, a lot of people that are in VR, they're highly sensitive, and you can fuck with them easily. They're like all snowflakes.
Oh my god. Honestly, soggy cow. Anyway. You're terrorizing people to another level.
I'm
in the living room.
Thing happen.
But anyway,
like in that movie, Ready Player One. I'd like to see that kind of world.
I think that we're not far from that.
Oh yeah.
That is not as far fetched as what people think. I think we're there now. Actually, I think we're almost there now. With some games.
Hold on, Pale. I'll send you like a 3-minute video of what I do.
Stick it on our Discord. Stick it on Discord.
All right, hold on.
I still haven't stopped recording even.
So back to an earlier topic, like liquor stores out here in New Brunswick are all owned by the government, so we don't like have homeless people sitting outside them, because they don't allow that. Is that actually an issue for you guys around?
I mean, it is in Ontario. The government runs the stores as well, and it's still a problem.
Oh, weird.
I don't know what to think about that, in all honesty, because
it's just a no tax.
Yeah, but like there's places in Australia, like Indigenous people are not allowed to drink, right? Even though they don't drink anyway. It's like,
seriously?
Yeah.
Like only Indigenous people aren't allowed to drink? Or
that's
just,
right.
Like,
only Indigenous people not allowed to drink.
They're not allowed to drink.
Yeah.
That's so fucking wrong.
And yeah, even though it's a dry county, see.
Well, see, in my band, you're not allowed to drink out there.
Yeah, but yeah. Well, the thing is that you've got like a young. Here's the thing. In the middle, there's a murder trial going on at the moment. A young policeman shot an Indigenous lad, right? The Indigenous lad, where they were, was like a place, there might have been 4 or 5 houses in the middle of the bush with electricity on, and a bit further down the road, there might have been a post office or something like that. No hotel, nothing really. Like, there was really nothing. This was an outer area, right? And this police officer came out, and there was a disturbance of some sort. This dude came out, mouthful and whatever, might have threw a rock or done something, right? But here's the thing. The copper shot him dead 3 times, like shot him 3 times. My attitude is this. They're in the middle of fucking nowhere. What fucking harm could this cunt done, in all honesty? He wasn't armed. You know what I mean? All he was there with a bit of a domestic with the family and that. I don't even know if the copper was called. It just so happened it was bad timing. You know what I mean? But yeah, that shit's still happening here. So yeah. Anyway, I'll leave on that note. We'll call it the War Pigs podcast.